All right, I am live. This is the special HBM's Crypto Corner preview. Wanted to welcome anybody who might be watching or listening at this late hour. Just 11 o'clock Central Time, but I wanted to make this announcement that I am doing this. I am bringing back HBM's Crypto Corner. It's going to be exclusively a live video chat thing. It'll only be once a month. It'll probably be the first Tuesday of every month. Uh, unless I go to a conference or something. At a conference, then it'll probably be the following Tuesday. But I just kind of wanted to jump back into the fray, as it were, of live broadcasting at least once a month. As far as with the Looking for Bigfoot News Hour, with Squatch Unlimited, and also with the Real or Not Real vodcast, also the Finding Bigfoot after shows, and we've done several after shows where we've talked about other Bigfoot programming, such as the $10 million Bigfoot bounty, such as the recent Survivor Man Bigfoot episodes that aired. Let's see, I should be on YouTube, so I'll see if anybody's watching on YouTube, and I'll see if anybody's got any messages. Fat joke, by the way. I know I'm fat. So you don't have to tell me. You really don't. You don't have to tell me, oh, well, Henry May's fat. No kidding. Yeah, I'm fat. So what? A lot of people are fat. Doesn't make them bad people. But yeah, I've been involved. I'm also, of course, Del Rio with his show MNBRT, as you all know. And I have a lot of fun doing that with. I've been co-hosting for a little over 2.5 years with Abe Del Rio. So I'm very glad to be doing that. And I just felt like this was something that I had to do. I had to bring this show back because I kind of missed doing it. I really did. I missed doing the HBM's Crypto Corner. And I'm going to try to get guests I can. I can't promise I'm always going to get the guests that I want, but I'm going to get as many as I can. This is just kind of an introductory show right now. Tomorrow night might be the same thing if I can't get a guest for tomorrow night. But I'm going to try to appeal to at least one person out there to, if they're not too busy, to join me tomorrow night. Matter of fact, that show will begin at 9 Eastern, 8 Central tomorrow night. And it'll be right here. I'm sure that this show is broadcasting on YouTube, so anyway, but as you all know, there's been quite a bit going on in the Bigfoot field. There's the actually Finding Bigfoot is returning. A lot of us assumed that it wasn't going to return until this summer, or excuse me, till this fall. But actually, they're bringing it back this summer. They're going to start. It's going to start back on June 8th, most likely at 10 Eastern, 9 Central. So I say I've got 2 viewers. Thank you very much, Way, if you're viewing this. But yeah, I'm very glad to be doing this for everybody. I hope that I'll bring back a lot of my loyal listeners. For those of you who have Google Plus accounts, you can come on here. And oh, now I got 4 viewers. Hey, going up. Hey, everybody's invited to come on in. If you're online now on Google Plus and you're not doing anything, come on in. Come on in. Everybody's invited. Everybody on my oh geez, gone down back down to 2 viewers. Uh-oh, maybe I scared some people off when I invited them on. But yeah, Finding Bigfoot's actually going to be coming back on June 8th, Sunday, June 8th, and it'll be at 10 Eastern, 9 Central on Animal Planet. Of course, check your local listings for time and channel. Also, the recent Ohio Bigfoot Conference got a great write-up in the newest Bigfoot Times newsletter by Todd Prescott, who attended the event, and he was the drummer for Tom Jerry Crew. He knew what to do, and Roger and Bob, which are two of my favorites by Tommy Emerone. So, and it was great accompaniment by Todd Prescott. So, for those who have not subscribed to the Bigfoot Times, the website is simply bigfoottimes.blogspot.com. Also, the Creature Replica. I got the Creature Replica T-shirt today. The fine folks behind Creature Replica were nice enough to send me the T-shirt. You can see there's a representation of a Sasquatch right here. It says Creature Replica going down the side there. So that's a pretty cool T-shirt, and I want to thank them for sending me the T-shirt. Really appreciate it, because I kind of missed out on getting it when I was at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, because they were there and they had the prototypes of the action figures that they're coming out with, designed by Jean St. John, and they're tremendous. They look great, and they have, I think each figure has like 18 points of articulation. So for those who action figure collectors and geeks and everything like that, that's a good plus. It's a good bonus. The company Toy Biz, when they would make action figures, some of them they would make with at least 18 points of articulation. Some of the more deluxe figures. So for something like this to come out, I don't know if necessarily kids would be interested in playing with these figures, but I know a lot of collectors would be interested in having them. I know I'm certainly interested in having them. They look very cool. Because the recent examples we've had of crypto action figures, you got this guy from Mezco. He has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has like 8 points of articulation. His head doesn't even turn. His head is just one solid piece on this, what appears to be this little, looks like shoulder pads almost. You can pull this head off, and there's nothing underneath it. The head does not actually turn. That's the unfortunate part about it. And the waist doesn't turn either, so it's really rather limited in the poses you can put it in. Now, this figure is a little bit better in articulation. This is the Accoutrements Bigfoot figure. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points of articulation, because the feet actually will do this. The feet will actually do this. But the Creature Replica figures are going to have much more points for articulation. I mean, this one's head doesn't. Oh wait, yeah, this one's head does turn a little. Oops, it pops off too. But yeah, this one is has a little bit of it almost has 12 points of articulation. That's still not nearly as good as what the Creature Replica figures are going to have. But I mean, for right now, this is the best figure they've got out there, or the best Bigfoot figure. And this is the one. This is the one with the original. I'm losing viewers. I'm losing people. Oh crap! But you got the stamps on the bottom. You can actually, there's a little stamp pad. You can put the feet on there, make little footprints with it. So yeah, I think that's gonna be H.B.M.'s Crypto Corner. We're gonna be all over the place, folks. That I'm going to be all over the place. That's how I operate. uh, but put this well, put this back over here. One of my favorite pieces that's really well done is this is from Jeff Johnson. This is, of course, Patty. This is the Patterson Gimlin film, Creature, Sculpture, and this is done by Jeff. This is sculpted by Jeff Johnson, and you can see that he signed it right there. And I managed to get Bob Gimlin to sign it a few years ago when he was at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. The first time he was at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, he actually signed it for me. So that's a pretty cool little piece right there. And Jason Shaneman has an actual Patty statue as well, which looks pretty good. Jason Shaneman also did this particular pendant, this very cool pendant, which looks a little bit just a little bit. This is actually closer to what I saw in 1904. The Sasquatch creature that I saw has the brow ridge, the flat nose, the thin lips. So a lot of people are probably not familiar with my sightings, so I'm going to recount my sightings right now. I'd always had an interest in creatures, strange creatures, things like that, strange phenomenon. I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up on In Search Of, the old Monsters, Mysteries or Myths special, the Smithsonian special. Also, The Mysterious Monsters, or Bigfoot the Mysterious Monster. You can probably see the poster right back there. Yep, right there. See the poster? For Bigfoot the Mysterious Monster. Of course, Abe would say I'm filibustering. That's okay. But anyway, back around 1976, I remember seeing the old $6 Million Man episode with Andre the Giant as the Bionic Bigfoot, which I thought was the coolest thing, because I had no idea what Bigfoot was. I was like, Bigfoot? What's that? I had no idea what Bigfoot was. All I knew was it was this hairy creature, this thing that lived in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, that's what I'd always heard, and that was the only place I heard that it lived. So I kind of started checking into it. I would check out every book from the library about Bigfoot, and I would read about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, the Yeti, or the Abominable Snowman at that time. And this was something that was very fascinating to me. And it wasn't until around, I guess I'd read in some books about the Fouke Monster, the Legend of Boggy Creek, the Boggy Creek creature. But that was down in Arkansas. I was in Tennessee at the time. Then we moved to Pennsylvania, and I wasn't even aware that there were Bigfoot in Pennsylvania. I had no clue. I was still in that mind process, that mindset that, well, these creatures only live in the Pacific Northwest, and they don't live anywhere else. But when we moved to Georgia in 1983, that's when I started hearing these screams one night. Actually, I moved to Georgia in 82, and about 7 months, about 5 or 6 months after we moved there, was when I started hearing these screams. And I heard them one night, and I thought, now what the heck is that? Well, I'd been reading about Bigfoot slash Sasquatch, and I attributed these screams to Bigfoot, and I started looking around the neighborhood, and several kids had told me in the neighborhood they'd seen something. I would say about 10 of them told me, yeah, I've seen something or I've heard something. So eventually, I saw what might have been a Bigfoot back in May of '83, but I was told the next day that that was a hoax. But I really don't know. I mean, I'll probably never know. To this day, I'll never, I mean, over 30 years later, I'll never know. So, I began, investigating, looking around. I would go into the forested areas around our subdivision. This was in Cherokee County, Georgia, town of Woodstock, and there was a stream within the subdivision or surrounding the subdivision. It was a creek, more like. There were a lot of forested areas, a large wooded hill at the northern end of the subdivision, and I speculated, well, maybe they live up there. And one day I tried to go up there, but I made it about halfway up. Then I heard that there were wild dogs up there, and I wasn't about to go try and mess with wild dogs because I was unarmed. I wasn't about to go try and mess with wild dogs, so I gave up on that. And eventually, right around January of 1984, I said, well, the heck with it. This is what I'm going to do. Late at night, about 10:30 in the evening, go outside, do a little bit of a whistling call. And we had an elevated back patio. And there was a hillside going down, and there were houses behind on the bottom of the hill. I started going like that. And about 5 minutes later, I heard this response. And I didn't expect to hear a response. I really didn't. So it was quite surprising. It really was. Then after I was doing this for a little bit, I looked down at the bottom of the hill, and there's this creature, or there's something behind the house, swaying back and forth. I could just see the silhouette of it, swaying back and forth. Then it crossed over under a porch light. I could see this thing's face, very strangely human-like, as I described, almost just like this. Almost just like this. So, except the lips were a little bit thinner. And actually, the eyes were more like an oriental. So, and I saw this creature. The creature was rust brown in color. The face was flesh colored, and it had a receding hairline. I could see that it appeared to have a little bit of hair missing up here. So, I watched this for about 2 minutes, and then I went back in the house. As far as height, I've kind of oscillated back and forth as to how tall it was. And I'm making a flying guess. It must have been about 6.5 feet tall. I know I've said 7.5 to 8 foot tall in the past, but really, that was a bit of an exaggeration. It really wasn't that tall. And it was pretty tall and lanky. It was lanky. It wasn't muscular like you would expect. A lot of people talk about how muscular the Sasquatch are. This wasn't muscular. Well, that was the first sighting I had. And then, almost 14 years later, January 1998, I'm driving home on Highway 61, driving north. Around 1:15 in the morning, I'm about 3 miles south of Shaw, Mississippi. And I look about 150 yards ahead of me on the highway, and I see this individual walking across the highway from left to right. And it's almost like it's gliding. It's very similar to the Patterson-Gimlin film. We've all seen the Patterson-Gimlin film where Patty appears to be almost walking like a cross-country ski. This thing walked across the highway, and I thought, now who could be out here at 1:15 in the morning, walking around, risking getting hit by a car? And I got up to the point where this thing had crossed the road, and this thing, whatever it was standing in a ditch. It had its back to me, but it was standing on a side profile. And I could see this thing standing there. It never looked at me. And this thing had a rounded head and massive. I could see the right bicep and the right arm. It was extremely massive. And as I passed it, I could see these massive muscles in the back. This was kind of a dirty white color, almost the same color as my model kit that I just showed y'all. Maybe a little. It might have been it might have been a light gray. I'm not really sure. All I know is that this was, and it towered over the car, so it had to have been pretty tall. And it was standing in a ditch, so it was really hard to estimate the actual height of it. But I'm guessing, just taking a flying guess now, that it was about maybe 6.5, 7, maybe 7.5 feet tall. And that was a very, very shocking thing, because I really wasn't thinking Bigfoot at that time. I was just thinking, I got to get home. It's getting late. I got to get home. And this thing it surprised me. So that was 10 miles south of here, and that's the last sighting I had. I mean, I've heard vocalizations, I found footprints, but nothing to the extent of having your own encounter, your own sightings. So yes, if people ask me, do you think Bigfoot exists? I say, no, I don't think Bigfoot exists. I know they do. I've seen them. So that's just kind of my introductory. For those who hadn't heard my accounts before, there you go. And hopefully people will learn more about this. I went on this forum, about, I think it was about Mississippi bass boating or something like that. And they talked about Bigfoot being in Bolivar County, but they were kind of doing it in a joking way. I was the only one that was being serious, because I had heard about the report for the GCBRO about supposedly some people over near the Sunflower River, over on Highway 8 going towards Ruleville, that had actually had some sort of encounters back in the 50s to the 60s. They heard something heavy walking in the woods, and also something came into the house while they were asleep and walked around their bed. They never saw it, but they heard it. And they thought, well, maybe it was a transient. Maybe there was somebody in the area that wasn't supposed to be there or something like that. But it would be, I don't know. It's really interesting. And then Tim Sermons told me about somebody who had seen a Bigfoot over near the Sunflower River right here in Bolivar County several years ago. And I've been trying to get more details out of him about it. So, and then what else happened? My mother told me of a third-hand account that she heard about, where a lady that was working in a rice field about a quarter mile south of here had heard. They were out there in the rice field, and they saw what they thought was an upright bear, quote unquote, walking on the edge of the woods. There's a large wooded area down a few miles from here, about 3 miles south of here, which is part of a farmer's property. And there are several wooded areas down on South Bishop Road, down near the community of O'Reilly. It's not really a town, it's a community. And this was several years ago when this happened. So take that for what it's worth. Take from that what you will. But yeah, those are some interesting reports right here in Bolivar County, Mississippi. Um, and there's been at least one report from Washington County, Mississippi, from 1971, from the city limits of Greenville, within the city limits of Greenville, and that was reported in the Delta Democrat Times. So this area does have a history, whether people realize it or not. This area does have a history of reports, and I know that I have not heard of any from Coahoma County, which is north of here, or from Sunflower County, which is east of here. But about 2 years ago, down around right near the Mississippi River Bridge and going towards Lake Village, Arkansas, there was a sighting. A late night motorist saw one. It was the same color of the one I saw in 19. Not to say that's the same one, but it's rather interesting that witness reported the very same coloration of the same one that I saw, of the one that I saw. So I found that to be quite fascinating. And so there is a history of reports in this area that a lot of people may not be aware of. And I think a lot of people around here would be shocked if they knew, if they even realized. The funny thing is, there is a wildlife preserve not very far from here. We're talking 10 miles west of here. There's a wildlife preserve, and there might be a bunch of them over there, because there's certainly enough food resources and water resources. There's deer, rabbit, elk. Not elk. I'm sorry, not elk. We don't have elk. Deer, rabbit, bobcat, whatever they might want to eat. And I'm sure there's all kinds of plant life they can eat as well. So, and that's about 10 miles from here. There's plenty of water and cover. Don Keeney has always said that the three things the Sasquatch need are food, water, and cover, or food, water, and shelter. And at this particular wildlife preserve, I think they get that. And I heard wood knocking right here a few years ago, right here within town. So there may be a possibility they may be coming into town every so often looking for food. They may come over here, because you figure they've got to have some kind of they have to have a territorial thing going on where they're in different places and going around. They have to have a certain circumference or perimeter that they cover. So anyway, I just wanted to do this introductory show. I'm going to try and get a guest for tomorrow night, but I'm not going to make any promises. I might have somebody on with me. I hope I do. But I just want to say that I hope that all my original supporters will stand behind me. Maybe I'll get some new supporters. Who knows? But until tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, y'all be good, or be good at it. This has been HBM's Crypto Corner.